In this lecture, everyone, so we are going to discuss about a lambda function, or maybe in other word, it's called as anonymous function. So what is the meaning of anonymous function? What kind of advantages I will be able to get if I'm going to create a lambda or maybe an anonymous function, how I can try to create it, how I can try to pass a parameter, how we can try to call maybe some sort of a inbuilt or custom function inside this function, how we can try to do even if else kind of a statement inside a lambda function. So all sort of permutation and combination I'm going to discuss with all of you in this particular lecture. So let's get started, guys. Let's try to understand what is a lambda function. So see, guys, function we already know, and in a function, so obviously we try to create something which we can try to use it repeatedly, right, again and again. So whenever it is required, so instead of writing a logic, I can try to call my inbuilt, or maybe I can try to call the function which I have already created. Now lambda is again a function or way of creating a functions, maybe in a bit different way. So here, let's suppose if I have to add two numbers, right? If I have to pass two numbers and then add it and then finally give me the outcome, how I will be able to create a function? So maybe I can write def and then maybe a function name, and then I can try to pass a comma b, and simply I can try to do what? return, return a plus b. Okay, fine. So I'll be able to do it, and whenever I'm going to call this test, I'm going to pass a number. It is going to perform addition operation. Okay, so it is going to perform the addition operation. So this is a simple normal function. So we already know how to create it. Now same function, I will try to convert it, or maybe I'll try to rewrite it in a different way by using a lambda approach. So here lambda, lambda is a inbuilt keyword. So it's a pre-existing keyword inside a Python which helps us to create a function in a different way. So same function I'll try to replicate into a different way. So here I'm going to call a keyword called as lambda. I can try to pass an argument a comma b, then I can try to give a colon, and then I can simply try to write a plus b. Meaning is, so here this is a reserved keyword. Whenever you have to create a lambda function, so just write it. This is also called as anonymous function. So you will be able to observe over here that I was trying to give a function name in my previous example, but here I'm not giving any kind of a name. I'm just trying to call lambda, pass two data, okay, on my left hand side, and then on my right hand side, so try to give me a return. So whatever computation, whatever logic that I have to write based on this input, I'm just writing it on my right hand side, and it is going to give me a return. Okay, so how I will be able to call it? So maybe I can try to store this one into a variable. So let's suppose if I'm going to store it inside a variable called as add, fine, variable called as add, and execute. Now this is a function. Believe me, this is a function, guys. Now how I'm going to call it? Let me show you. I'm just going to call add. Okay, I'm just calling this variable. I can just try to give this variable name as anything. Even I can give this variable name as my name, your name, doesn't matter at all. But I'm trying to call this add over here. So when I'm trying to call add, it is telling me that it's technically a function. And it's basically a lambda function which takes two parameters, a and b. So you have to pass a and b. How I will be able to pass a and b? So here, just like a normal function, so I can try to pass 3 comma 5 over here, execute. I'm able to get 5 plus 3 is equals to 8. So it is going to take this 3 and 5 over here. So 3 is equals to a, 5 is equals to b, and finally whatever computation, whatever calculation which I'm trying to do, it will do it, and it is going to return. Now this is a beauty of creating anonymous function or lambda function. I'm trying to hold this function inside a simple normal variable that we have seen since our day 0. Yes, so this is a very first lambda function that we are able to create. So in the similar manner, let's try to understand this lambda function with respect to a multiple example. Okay, so let's take it. So here, maybe someone is asking me that try to create a function which will try to take two input, and then it is going to give you multiplication. So fine, not an issue. I can try to pass a and b, a into b, execute. I can try to call multiply, and here I can try to pass a data. 4 into 5 is equals to 20. So it will take a is equals to 4, b is equals to 5, do the multiplication, return the result. So here I'm not even writing a return statement. Without even writing a return statement, it is working fine for me. This is a lambda function. right? A single line function, I'm able to write it down. I'm not writing these things into a multiple lines, just in a single line I'm able to write it down. Okay, now let's try to take another example. So maybe if someone is asking me that square a number, square, square a number. Okay, so lambda, and then maybe I can try to take data input, so maybe a, and a of square I'm supposed to produce. Okay, bingo, done. So just try to call your square function, try to pass any kind of a data, and a square of 5 is basically 25. So a is equals to 5, and a to the power 2, which is nothing but 25, I'm able to receive. So even this is a way by which I'm able to create a lambda function. I'm able to just square the number. So I'm able to pass one parameter, I'm able to pass two parameter, I will be able to pass even a n number of parameter, just like my regular function which I have already created, which I have already shown you in my previous lecture. So if you have not gone through it, please try to go through it and then try to jump into this lecture. Then only it is going to be helpful for you. Otherwise, I don't think that it is going to help you out. And please try to write a code by yourself. If you are not writing it, if you are not experimenting it, you will not be able to remember any of these things. And these things are not means to be remember. Again, so you're not supposed to remember any of these piece of code. Just keep on coding it and it will be a part of your life. Now, let's suppose if someone is asking me that try to check if the number is even or the number is odd. Okay, so try to check if the number is even or number is basically odd. Okay, fine. I can try to create a function, lambda function. So check, check even. Fine. Lambda, lambda, I can try to pass an input, I can try to check. So if it is divisible by 2 is equals to 0, so in that case number is so equal to divisible by 2 is equal to 0. So in that case number is even. So I'm going to pass one number, it is going to divide it and will check the remainder. If remainder is equals to 0, in that case obviously number is basically positive. Execute it. Now I'm going to call check even over here and I can try to pass 3. It's false because this is going to return, this part is going to return what? This part is going to return true or false. True if it is divisible by 2, false if it is not divisible by 2. So here it is able to return me false. So again, this is a shorthand of creating any kind of function. This is the reason. So we are going to use lambda. It's not hard and fast that you have to create a lambda function all the time. So maybe you can try to even like create a regular function and then you can do the implementation, a similar kind of implementation. But yes, if you are looking for a one-liner, in that case, lambda is an option with you. So you can just try to use it. Now, let's suppose someone is asking me that try to create a function so which will be able to reverse any string. So whatever string which I'm going to pass, it is supposed to reverse it. Again, that is pretty much easy for me. I can try to create it. So reverse reverse underscore string string is equals to lambda lambda. Someone is going to pass a string s, and what I will do is I'll just try to return colon -1, and here let me call this reverse string. Let me just call this reverse string and let me pass my name over here, and it is able to reverse this entire data. So again, this is the operation it is trying to perform. I believe this operations we have already seen in my string indexing slicing operations, right? So if I have to reverse the string colon -1, my work is done. I will be able to reverse a string or even a list. Even if I'm going to pass a list, it will be able to reverse a complete list and it will be able to give me a complete amount of a data set. Okay. Now, let's suppose there is a number which I'm going to pass. So multiple numbers if I'm going to pass. So I would like to create a function so which will be able to check which number is a maximum one. Okay, which number is a maximum one. So if I have to create such kind of function which will just do a comparison between two numbers which I'm going to pass. So I can try to create a regular function, but let's try to do an implementation with respect to a lambda function. So here max underscore number is a function name which I'm going to, not a name I would say, just a variable I'm going to create. So lambda, And here I'm going to pass a number a comma b, let's suppose two number I'm going to pass, and then I can try to write that return a. Okay, return the first number if a is greater than what, a is greater than b. So I'm just using, or I'm just trying to show you even a use case of if else kind of a statement inside a lambda. So I'm going to pass two number, as you can see. Okay, input is two number. So I'm saying that return, give me output as a if a is greater than b. In that case, a is going to be the maximum number, right? Else give me what, else give me b. Execute, and then max number, max 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 number variable I'm going to call, and here I'm going to pass maybe a input. So I'm going to pass maybe a 23 and 12. Execute. So it is, let me show you with the help of pen. So let me open up my big pen. So here you will be able to find out that I'm trying to pass two numbers. Why it is not working? Let me check. My pen should work. Oh, it's not working, I believe. It's not working. Okay, that's not an issue. So just try to focus over here. My pen is not working as of now, so I can't write anything. So here you will be able to find out that I'm trying to pass two input a comma b. Okay, I'm going to return a. So if a means, if I'm just trying to do a comparison. So with this condition, so if a means the first number is greater than b, in that case return the first number. This is the return which I'm writing. Else return b. So I'm trying to pass 23 and 12. So a is 23, b is basically 12. So it is trying to compare 23 is greater than 12. Yes, that's true. In that case, return 23, the first number. Else, let's suppose if I'm going to call it once again, and this time I'm going to pass 23 and maybe a 45. This time it is returning b, which is a second number, right? So else it is returning b. So this is how I can try to even write a lambda function. So where I'm just trying to check which number is a maximum number out of two given inputs. Now, let's move ahead. And let's try to understand a couple of more things with respect to a lambda function. So here, let's suppose I have a list. I have a list over here. And inside this list, I have a tuples. Inside this, I have 3, 4, 5. And then maybe again, I have a tuples inside this one, 2, 3, 4. Then again, we have a tuples inside a list 1, 2, 3. Likewise, we have one particular list, and inside this list, I have a multiple tuples, as you can see. Fine, multiple tuples I have. Now, so here, what I'm supposed to do is, so I have to sort this particular list of the tuples. Okay, so I have to perform basically a sorting. I have to perform a sorting operations, but based on what I'm supposed to do a sorting operation. So here, I'll try to focus maybe on second number of every tuple. Every tuple is having three numbers. Okay, so tuple number 1, tuple number 2, and tuple number 3. Now, just try to focus on second number. Second number in tuple number 1 is 4. Second number in tuple number 2 is 3. Second number in tuple number 3 is 2. I have to perform a sorting operations based on this second number. Maybe someone can give you a based on third number, based on first number. But as of now, I have to do a sorting based on the second number. So I have to observe this second number. So if this number is the smallest one, keep it in a beginning. Keep this entire tuples in a beginning. Okay. If this number, second number, is second largest, keep it in a middle. And then if this one is the highest or the biggest one, keep this entire tuple in a last. So I have to perform the sorting inside a tuples, which is available inside a list, based on the second number which is available inside my each and every tuples. Let's try to perform this operations with the help of lambda function. So I can write this function as sort by second num, okay, in tuples. Maybe I can just try to write in tuple, tuple. Okay, so this is the function in which I have written. Now I can try to write a lambda, lambda. Now what I can do is, so I can try to pass a list. So maybe I can try to pass a list inside this lambda function. So whenever I'm going to call it, whenever I'm going to use it, and then here I can try to call sorted. Okay, sorted based on what? Because I have to return a list. So sorted. Now sorted is a inbuilt function, as we all know. Sorted always try to consider what? Iterables. It is going to take iterables, any kind of iterables you can try to pass, and it is going to give you a return as a final iterables. So here I'm going to pass this particular iterables. What iterable I'm supposed to pass? This list. This list input I'm going to pass over here. So list input I'm going to pass over here. And then I'm supposed to perform this sorting operations inside this list based on what? Based on the second element of these tuples. Okay, second element of these tuples. So here I'm supposed to perform a sorting operation. Now let me call this sorted function externally. So here, let's suppose if I'm going to call this just a sorted function, SORTD, sorted function. If I'm going to pass a list 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, something like this. Okay. Now it is going to return me what? So it will try to perform a sorting operation in a ascending order. By default, it will try to perform the sorting operation in an ascending order. It will sort the entire number, and this is the result. Even you can try to give a return into a descending order, that is also possible. So you can just try to make a variable, this particular variable reverse is equals to true. So if I'm going to write over here a parameter reverse is equals to true, it will try to perform a sorting operation into a descending order. Into a decreasing order, it will try to perform the sorting operation. So in an ascending order, by default, if I'm going to write reverse is equals to true, so in that case, in a descending order, it will try to perform the sorting operation. Okay, that's fine. This is what a sorted does by default. And I believe I have already discussed about the sorted functions, sorted inbuilt function in my previous lecture. So please try to watch that one. Otherwise, this example is more than enough for you to understand how sorted works internally. I'm trying to call the same sorted function over here, but my requirement is different. I'm not supposed to do a sorting based on just a plain tuples, because inside a tuples, I have a multiple numbers, right? So I'm supposed to do a sorting of these tuples based on this second number. So what I'm supposed to do? So maybe again, I have to write my custom logic over here. So you can try to write a custom logic inside key. Key means you can try to write your own sorting logic over here. That is the meaning of a key. So here a custom key function can be supplied to the customized sorting order, whatever sorting order that you're looking for. So maybe you have a privilege to write your own function with this parameter, with this key parameter. So fine, I'll try to write it. So key is equals to, okay. So I'm going to write my own custom function, lambda, lambda. So again, lambda inside lambda is something which I'm trying to show you. So I'm saying that whenever you're trying to perform a sorting operation inside this L, inside this particular list, try to use this function to do a sorting operation. Don't just go after the ascending and descending order by default, because there is not just a single element. There are a collection which is available inside it. So here I can try to write a lambda, and lambda will take data input from this particular list which you are trying to provide one by one. So I'm just trying to give a reference as X over here, and here it is supposed to return X. So do a sorting based on X of 1, means just try to consider this as X, this as X, this as X, and consider the second element. Second element is 0, 1, because we all know that inside a tuples data will be stored with respect to indexes. So 0, then 1, then 2, 0, 1, and 2. So I have to focus on second element. Based on second element, I have to do a sorting. Okay, so I have written this one. So I'm just trying to implement my own custom function inside a function. So in one lambda function, I'm just trying to rewrite another lambda function as per my requirement and execute. Now here, if I'm going to call this function, my own custom function, here if I'm going to pass a list, now see the magic. See the magic over here. This was my original list, right? Based on the second number available inside this list of tuples, inside a list, I'm supposed to do a sorting. So yes, 2, then 3, and then 4. We are able to perform the sorting operation. And here I am even able to showcase you that how to write a lambda inside a lambda. Technically, I'm not writing lambda inside lambda. So technically you can see that inside a sorted, I had a privilege to write my own function. So I am just trying to write my own functions, own logic to perform a sorting operation. That's it. This is something which I'm trying to implement inside this particular example. So hope all of you are able to understand. Now, moving ahead, right? Moving ahead. So here, let's suppose I'm supposed to like, I'm having a string SUDHNSHU. Okay. Now, with this string, I'm supposed to check whether this string is starting with S or not. So someone can enter any kind of a string inside my function, and I have to check whether this particular string is starting with this particular character or not. That's a requirement for me. Okay, so check first underscore char. This is the function name. Let's suppose a variable name which I'm going to give lambda, and then I can try to pass a string, and then I can try to pass a character which I'm supposed to check. Okay, so they are the two input I'm going to give. Now I'm going to check whether a string S starts with strts starts with, which is an inbuilt function, this particular char or not. We all know that this is going to return true or false. This is an inbuilt string function I'm trying to use. Okay, execute it. Now here, what I will do is I'll try to simply, right? I'll try to simply pass maybe a string SUDH or maybe S over here, the string which I have already created. And then I can try to pass that whether this string is starting ahead with a character C or not. False. String S, which is Tanshu, is not starting with C. Now I can try to recheck. So string S is starting with S or not. Yes, it is going to be true. So this is again another function which is trying to check for me that whether a particular string is starting with a particular character or not. So in a form of lambda functions, again I'm able to create it. Right? Again, I'm able to create it. Now let's try to create a lambda function with a use case of maybe a loop. Yes, use case of a loop. Let's try to create it. So, so here what I'm supposed to do is, so I'm supposed to basically generate a list, a final list I'm supposed to generate. So where I'm supposed to produce a square starting from 0 to 9. So in a list, which is going to be my outcome, in that list, I'm looking for a square of each and every number between 0 to 9. Let's try to create it. So square underscore list is a variable name I'm going to give. A square underscore list is a variable name, lambda. Okay. And here, so what I will do is I'll just try to give like a range, that till what range I'm looking for this square of the input. Let's suppose till range 10, means start from 0, go till 10, excluding 10 obviously. So let's give me the square of the entire data set. So what I can do is I can try to give an input is equals to n, and then here I can write maybe a list comprehension. So for I in a range of n, I believe we all are aware about the comprehension operation. I have already discussed about it in my previous lecture. So it is going to return, as we all know, it is going to return what? A square list, right? I'm just trying to keep it inside the lambda, execute a square of list. I'm going to pass what? I'm going to pass maybe till 10 generated. So, okay, fine. I think I should write I over here. Fine, got it. So here I'm able to get a complete data, which is nothing but a square of a number between 0 to 9. If I have to produce maybe till 5, I can do it. So till 5. Excluding 5 obviously, because here I have used a range function, and we all know that range function always try to exclude an upper bound, and it is going to produce a data starting from 0 till n minus 1. So it is producing a data. I'm just going over to it and then returning a square, capturing it inside the list. So ideally it's a list comprehension as a return, which I'm looking for from my this lambda operation, this particular function operation. So this is a deal that we are able to crack. Now, let's suppose I have a list. Okay, let's suppose I have a list. Now, inside my list, I have multiple numbers, right? I have a multiple numbers. Now, someone is asking me that try to write a lambda function by which you will be able to filter out only an even number from the list. Means you have to produce a list. You have to produce a list at the end of the day, but you have to produce only those numbers. You have to extract only those numbers out of this entire list, which is basically even. Yes. So I'm not looking for this 5 or maybe a 7, maybe a 3, because these numbers are not an even number. I'm just looking for an even number outcome as an outcome from this particular list. So, okay, filter underscore even. I can try to write this as a like a variable name, lambda. Okay. And this lambda is going to take entire list as an input. Fine. I can try to return a comprehension over here. And what I can do is I can write for I in this particular L input, which I'm trying to give. This variable name, and this variable name could be different. There is no similarity in between. So I'm just trying to like take it as a L, but you can take this variable name and this variable name as a different one. So for I in this particular list, so if, right, if I divided by 2 means I remember 2 is equal to 0. This is the filter operation which I have written, equal to 0. In that case, return what? Return I. Execute. Now filter even and just try to pass a list over here. It is able to filter out only an even number from this particular list, as you can see. Yes, it is able to extract just an even number. It is trying to skip all the odd numbers. So again, I'm just writing a list comprehension. That's it, which will be able to filter out the entire data set for me. Okay, fine. Now in the same example, if someone is asking you that try to filter out only an even number and return a square of the even number, or maybe a cube of the even number, I can do that as well. So I'm taking this as a return. Okay, static 3, produce q. So basically it will try to extract all the even number, and for those even number, I'm able to produce a q. So number to the power 3. This is the power that I'm trying to perform. So even in this way, you will be able to write a lambda functions and you will be able to extract a data out of this one. So hope all of you are able to understand, guys, what is a lambda function, how we can try to do an implementation of a lambda function. Now, if you are facing any kind of a difficulties with respect to lambda function, please write down your problem statements inside a comment box so that I can try to look into it. I can try to resolve it whenever I'll get a time. Yes. And if you have any kind of a suggestion for me to improvise these lectures, do let me know, guys. For sure, I'll try my best to improvise. For sure, I'll try my best to give you most of the example, or maybe a complex of complex examples in this entire lecture, so that you all will be able to learn. But practice is a key. Unless and until you are not going to practice, it is not going to work for you. So practice is a key. So keep on practicing. Keep on letting me know about the doubts or maybe any kind of difficulties that you are going to face. I'll be there to help you out with that. Thank you so much, everyone. See you again in my next lecture.